It's now the next morning and I'll take the clamps off. There you can see some of the glued in reflex has sprung out. But overall that's looking pretty good. I have to clean up the excess bamboo, clean up the glue line, take off the excess horn, fit horn knocks, retiller it, clean it up. But other than that, it's finished. Here's the bow fresh from the glue up, and I'm now rasping off the excess bamboo. But you can see the way the bow was so curved on the back, there's effectively still a groove showing even when I've touched the side of the bow. Well, I don't mind narrowing the bow a little bit and it'll get it back to a more D shape rather than the oval. But it becomes apparent, I think this central wood here feels like iPay. I can't guarantee it, or ePay, or however you want to pronounce it, which strikes me as a stupid design really, because I think the belly's lemon wood. So why would you use a very heavy, dense stiff wood as the core rather than the belly? The core of a bow doesn't do much. Of course it contributes something. You don't want something that will crush, but effectively it's relatively unstressed. You know, most of the stress is on the belly and the back. So I mean, you could have glued a strip of lead up the middle. That would have improved the performance, wouldn't it? You know, I think that's I just think that's poor design. We might have just been using up timber and lying around, and I might be wrong. It might not be iPay, might just be some general random dark African hardwood. Oh, this is quite interesting. The glue, where the excess glues come out because of the heavy gloss polyurethane finish, it just pops off, which is quite nice. The point I'm trying to make about the bow is, if we imagine that's the old backing, and I've cut off half of it and added a nice new bamboo back of similar thickness, but I want my bamboo back to retain the curve of the bamboo, not be so rounded. The problem is then I've got this sort of gap here, and if I cut it down like that to get rid of that gap, you'd see the bow would be substantially narrower. Well, I don't mind being a bit narrower, so we're probably alright, but that's just, you know, this is exaggerated, but you do get this funny little area here that's full of glue, because I think the bow was, well, it was slightly oval actually, I suppose, to be realistic. It was more, I don't know, trying to draw and hold the camera at the same time, more sort of like that, but it was heavily rounded on these corners. Anyway, I'll just clean it up as I think appropriate. Losing a bit of width doesn't make much odds. I've been along a bit more now, angling the rasp up from the back to blend the bamboo in a little bit, but trying not to round it as much as it was rounded before. And that's got most of the glue line out, using my big farrier's rasp. Trick is when you're going against bamboo, go that way, so you cut in from the fibrous bamboo into the wood. If you go the other way, you'll tear out big splinters. Anyway, that's looking a lot better now, but out of interest, let's measure it compared what it is now with what it was before. Right, just above the grip. Mind you've got a big node there, which makes it look a bit funny. We're at 28, and we were 28.3. Just below the grip, 29.38. So we're the right ballpark. I was trying to avoid measuring that fat node. In terms of width, we're now 32, whereas we were 33.5. So I've taken off 1.5 millimeters of width, which isn't bad. I reckon for a 60 pounder, 30 millimeters fine. Could go a little more, could go a little less. So if I take a bit more width off as I'm blending in this backing, that won't be an issue. And the advantage is a narrower bow shoots cleaner. The arrow doesn't have to flex around the bow so much. You're minimising the archer's paradox. So at brace, the arrow doesn't point so far left. If you're making a flight bow, you go as narrow as you dare. Right, so I've got to tidy up around the nocks. You may have noticed I left the sort of back face of the nocks on. Just gave me more to glue. I'll file them away carefully. I want to try and retain the original length if possible. The reason being, I'm a lazy git and I don't like making strings. So if I can get the nocks lining up as they were before, that will save me some effort. That'll do for this part 2, I think. You can see she's getting there. Just pop her on the floor so you can see the overall shape. There's a few thick patches on the bamboo, so it will need a bit of retillering.